Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Tonight's going to be a bit of a different kind of video. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my encounter with the skinwalker. I live here in New Mexico, more specifically in Grants, New Mexico. A little less than a year ago, I went on a call, and as some of you guys might know, I was an animal control officer here for the town for about 2 years. And I was on call that night. So usually you take your unit home, your truck home and everything, and you wait. If you get a call, you do. If not, then you don't. So happened that night I did get one. The call started off simple enough. I get the call from dispatch. They told me that someone had been bitten by a dog. The hospital called them, and by law they have to notify the authorities, which at that time was me. Oops, sorry, probably banged the mic there. Anywho, so yeah, they called me. Well, dispatch called me, and then of course I had to respond to the hospital and go take a report on the person that got bit. No big deal. And I mean that's the way I go. I had my unit here, so I went ahead and went straight, got changed into my uniform, went straight to the hospital, took the gentleman's information, all that stuff, and then he told me where he got bit, the location. So my job is to try to go find the dog, and hopefully it has an owner. Hopefully it's not a stray or anything like that, because reason being, they need to know if the dog has rabies or if it's sick or anything like that. So that way they know how to move forward with the medications on the person that they're taking care of. Quick little pause, by the way, it's my birthday today, so yeah, I'm doing a video on my birthday. So cheers to everybody. I am having a step two, as Mr. Steve Wallace would say, and probably this is like step 2 and 3 right here. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this. Cheers to everybody for joining me for my little skinwalker adventure. Salud. And I guess before we get into the actual encounter, I can explain to you what a skinwalker actually is. So in Navajo folklore, basically a skinwalker, excuse me, is a malevolent witch that can pretty much turn into any type of animal or human or whatever that it wants to be at that moment, which is kind of what makes it hard to identify them. And they're very much considered a you know a fearful thing in communities in the Navajo culture. I mean, they don't know who a skinwalker is or who might not be and stuff like that. So they're very cautious of new people or things that possibly could be a skinwalker. And the reason I know all this is not because of the paper that I have in my hand, although that does help. My wife, since I've moved here, has kind of given me a lot of lessons as far as what could be a skinwalker, what couldn't be a skinwalker, how it smells and stuff like that. Apparently, it smells like death or rotting corpses and stuff like that when there's a skinwalker present. And my wife says that you're not supposed to really say the name or anything like that. Me being Hispanic, I think I'm okay from that, but I do try to have a lot of respect for that, and I don't really mention it a lot when my wife's around and when the family's around and everything, because I mean they're believers of it, and in any culture, I believe that if you believe in that stuff, you should be respectful of that, just like how we respect like lores about La Llorona and stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So we really need to be respectful of that and not just be like, whatever, right? We can't be like that. And from what I understand, a skinwalker becomes a skinwalker by doing a heinous crime, like something like murder, especially murder like on a family member or something like that, is what makes them have their powers and everything, gives them all their power. And a lot of the times, a skinwalker will be someone that knows how to use rituals and spells and stuff like that, but unfortunately they're using it for the wrong reason. So they kind of delve into, like, I guess what we would call like the dark arts or black magic, stuff like voodoo, I guess, things like that of that nature. And in their culture, it translates to them being a skinwalker because they use their power basically for bad. And a lot of the times, what a skinwalker will do, it will transform into, like, let's say, a bigger animal like a bear, or deer, or whatever, just so that it can travel long distances really fast. And that's the reason why sometimes you'll see them in that form. And we'll get to that here in a second. It's also said that skinwalkers they participate in taboo, I guess, type of things like desecration of graves, cannibalism, stuff like that, murder, of course, just anything that is not good in the just regular sense of the word. So anything that's bad, they will try to do, I guess. So back to the story, I'm going to go ahead and show you really fast where I actually saw the skinwalker, and then I'll continue on with my story. This area that we're approaching up here is affectionately called the Loma, which means the hill in Spanish, and it's a very old part of town. Grants was kind of founded with uranium mining and all that stuff, and it dried up and turned into kind of just a dead town. But this is the area that I drove up that night when I saw the skinwalker. I'll show you the exact spot here in a little bit. I'm doing this during the daylight because, quite honestly, now that I don't work animal control anymore, I don't like driving this area at night. Ever since that happened, it's just, I can't imagine how the people that live up here, I mean, I'm pretty sure they've all seen some things, and I've heard some stories already. Okay, now you see that truck that's going up that hill? Right about, I'll say maybe a little further up, I'll show you, is where I saw the skinwalker. Okay, so we're coming up this hill here, and right about here, I'm sorry, excuse my videoing here, but right about here, I saw a deer walking, which what I thought was a deer, which isn't uncommon. You know, you see deer coming down off the mountain and stuff. But as I got to about where the speed bump is, and it was like right here, all of a sudden it was a person with a little backpack, and it just like stared at me like right here. And I was driving about this slow because, I mean, I was looking for a dog that had bit somebody, of course. And right about there, yeah, it scared the heck out of me because, yeah, it was a deer, no doubt about it. And all of a sudden I get there and boom, it was just a person and just staring at me. So suffice it to say, I sped up and got the heck out of Dodge. I did not turn around, which is normally what I would have done. But see how this hill goes down here? I took a left where that goes down to that street, and I booked it out of here. So yeah, this is the Loma area, and it's a very old part of town, like I said, and that is where I saw it. This area kind of reminds me of that movie Training Day, when Denzel Washington takes that guy to the ghetto, I guess, to show him, you know, what everything's about, and everybody kind of just takes care of each other and all that stuff. This is kind of how this area is. Everybody just keeps to themselves, and they kind of, you know, don't like strangers coming up here too much. And something that I failed to mention is that this call that I got from dispatch was around 2:30 in the morning. So by the time I got to the hospital, which isn't very far from where I live, took the person's report and got to the place, it was maybe around 3:30 in the morning, I would guess. So as you saw in the clip that I showed you where the Loma is, you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But picture that place like around 3 in the morning, and that gives you a little bit more context. So I'm driving along, and you know, I'm not tired. I know that because I was upset because I was thinking to myself, I could be at home in bed, you know, whatever, but I'm out here chasing a dog that bit somebody or whatever. And by the way, it was like a German Shepherd that had bitten somebody apparently. I never did find the dog, by the way. But anyways, so I'm cruising along this road, like very dark. You know, there's not very many lights. I have my spotlight out, and because my unit is actually the only one that's equipped with a spotlight, so I have it out. You know, just cruising that little part of the road where the gentleman had told me that there was that the dog bit him because he was walking home apparently. Who walked home at 2 in the morning on that Loma, right? Weird. Anyhow, so as I'm cruising up that road, as I told you in the video, I can't say that I got a weird feeling because I really didn't, but I did see a deer up in the distance, plain as day, antlers and everything. You know, I saw a deer walking along, which, like I said in the video, wasn't really too alarming because I mean, deer come down, you know, at nighttime to come down and feed and whatever because everybody's asleep, right? As I got to about maybe, I'd say about 10 feet 10 to 15 feet of it, it was a person. It wasn't a deer at all. And it was so weird because I'm still cruising along pretty slow. And all of a sudden I look over to my left and yeah, straight up a person just staring at me, just staring me down like I don't know if it was like what he was or it was or whatever, but it was just staring at me. And I'm not gonna say, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did get a little creeped out, and it takes a lot for me to get scared and creeped out because I've been doing this job for a long time and all that, but I'm actually more afraid of people than I am of animals, to be honest with you. And to me, it was my first encounter. And you could sit there and try to poke holes in my story and say it could have still been a deer and then it ran off and then that person was there. But that deer was that person was in the exact same spot that that deer would have been when I passed by. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, whatever way you want to. But I feel like that was my first encounter with a skinwalker here. And I was scared, not to lie. So I did get over that hill. I went down and I took a left and I took off. And I called my wife and she, poor thing, she was asleep and everything. And she answers the phone and she's like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine." But I told her what happened and everything. And she got really, weirded out by it. And she's like, "Oh my God, that's crazy. Just get home," which is what I did. I mean, I didn't continue to look for the dog because I don't honestly, I'll be honest with you, out of the 2 years that I've worked for animal control or that I did work for animal control, I never found the dog at that time of night. They disappear. Whether it goes back into their yard or whether it takes off because it's a stray or whatever. I mean, it's dark time. I mean, it's very, very rare that anybody would find a dog at that time. So I just went home. My wife did say a prayer for me, and I couldn't tell you what kind of prayer it was. I'm not Navajo. We did tell my father-in-law, God rest his soul, and he did say some kind of ceremonial kind of prayer and everything for me, and that was the end of that. I mean, as far as my encounter with that, but it was so strange because like they don't sit there and tell you that, oh yeah, you probably didn't see anything or whatever. Just like my family would be like, yeah, it was probably just a coincidence or whatever. They take this stuff very seriously down here, which I think is kind of neat because I was taken seriously. I guess if that makes any sense. Because I honestly don't believe in a lot of stuff if I don't see it myself. I'm one of those types of people. I have seen ghosts, which is why I believe in ghosts. You know, I have seen some strange orbs and stuff like that. So, which is why I believe in that. So, I had never seen a skinwalker before. So, to be honest with you, I mean, to me, it was like kind of like us saying the chupacabra. Is it real? Who knows, right? I've never seen one, so I can't sit there and tell you that. Or Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them. Like I've never seen one, so I can't tell you whether they exist or not. But to me, skinwalkers exist because I had an encounter with one, and the only thing my wife did tell me on the drive back was to take the long way. So don't let it follow you. Don't let it, if you see anything like that again, just take off and don't let it follow you home because then that's where they get you. And I'm not going to lie, as soon as I got home, I ran to my front porch, like to where the door is to my house. Thank God I hadn't locked it, which I probably should have, but I didn't lock it. Got in my house right away and came to my room with the wife, and of course she prayed and all that stuff, and that was the end of that. I haven't had an encounter ever since, or seen anything like that ever since, but that was my encounter with that. That was very strange. And to be honest with you, this video isn't to convince you whether what I saw was real or not, or anything like that, or to convince you that there is skinwalkers, because that was my personal experience, and I can't sit there and tell you, to believe in something that you haven't seen yourself. That's just simply my experience with that, or whatever. And I keep hitting my mic because I'm not used to having that on there. Well, anyhow, that was my experience with that, and like I said, take it whatever way you want to. But like I said, I do believe in it, and that's going to be one thing about New Mexico that I don't miss. Because as you all know, we are planning on moving to Las Vegas, Nevada, and in April, and hopefully we don't have that issue anymore over there, right? But who knows? Because there's tribal lands over there and everything, so you never know. But if you like this kind of material, let me know. Hit the subscribe button, comment on the video, like the video. Helps me out if you subscribe, really does. I mean, we're at 110 subscribers now. Yay. So that's awesome. And let's try to keep this going. Let's try to keep the momentum, right? Is that the right word? Momentum going. And I'm going to enjoy my Miller High Life here. Speaking of High Life, that brings me to today's sponsor of this video, which is me. I don't have a sponsor. I'm paying for everything. So please subscribe. Help me out, man. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy my beer now. Y'all have yourself a great afternoon, great evening. And as always, have a wonderful day. And peace out, guys. Please subscribe.